That's Straight Facts on Tuesday with Lee Gunner. How are you, my friend? You well?
Very good, man. Scorching hot day. I'm sat inside listening to your dulcet tones. It's beautiful here, man. Nearly 30 degrees here today, Tel. Proper nice. 5 years today, I set up my channel. I've upset so many people in that 5 years. It's great. And yeah, nearly 60 million views later, we're still here.
60 million views. Proper
54 mil. So closer to 50 than 60.
Round it up. 60
yeah,
million.
Come on.
There we go.
Big up to everyone, man. And should be a good show because I'm going to cook you on Southgate. Your agenda is disgusting.
We've got a lot to speak. There's a few things to talk about on here. We've got about an hour and a half. I've got parents' evening tonight, so I do have to shoot for that. But yeah, you want to call me out? Yeah, I mean, I'll set the press. I want Southgate sacked. I've heard you want to cook me on it. Go for it. I'd love to hear. Why should I not want him sacked? Go for it.
Okay, statistics.
Why do you back Southgate?
Well, I don't. I'm just calling out the agenda. Yeah, I don't think he's good enough. Yeah, but the same as I don't think Arteta's good enough. But if it's Arteta, it's an agenda. But if it's Southgate, who sees the players 4 times a year, has got us to a World Cup semi, a Euros final, and a World Cup quarters in the last 3 tournaments. Unbeaten in this campaign, conceded 4 goals in 8 games, 22 goals scored. Literally dead rubber last night. It was irrelevant in that game. Yeah, and yes, the pool of players he can pick looks great, but you support Man United. Yeah, you've got pretty much untold amounts of money that you can go and spend on a pool of players, more so than just English ones. So I don't really get the issue. Like if you're Ten Hag out or Arteta out, if you're Ten Hag in or Arteta in, you should be Southgate in. Yeah, because let's be real, Southgate's had the job 7 years. We're in a much better state now than when he first got the job with Sven, Capello, Steve McLaren. Who was the other one? Big Sam for 1 game. Yeah, we're in a much better state now, more competitive now than we were when he got the job. Yeah, and like I said, statistically, this guy's won more games in tournament football than any other manager in our history. He's the first manager to get us to a final in a major tournament since Alf Ramsey in '66. He's then got us to a semi-final of a World Cup and the quarters of a World Cup. I don't see the I don't see the issue here. You either want, I want Arteta out, so I want Southgate out. But the hypocrisy is crazy. Yeah, and I just look at it and I think cool. Yeah, we're not great to watch. And what? If we end up winning something, nobody cares. Yeah, when the Euros comes around in the summer, we could be boring all the way through it. If we win it, nobody cares. Nobody cares. Yeah, so it's all good playing great football and fantasy football. Well done. Yeah, we won 7-0 against Macedonia a couple of months ago. Last night, 1-0. But we'd already qualified. We'd already topped the group. It's irrelevant. Dead rubber.
Yeah. So what I would say, firstly, we both agree on Southgate that he isn't good enough. So we first, I'm being challenged for my opinion on Southgate, not because you disagree with my opinion on Southgate. You don't want to know why it marries up to Arteta. I'll say this. First of all, I thanked him for what he's done for us at tournaments. So I agree with you on that point. He's done a good job in those tournaments, but I still feel him as a manager in those tournaments, the decisions that he's made, the time of substitutions and our approach to particular games in the end cost us. And I think we have enough evidence to know that, in my opinion, that it isn't going to get any better from there, in my personal opinion. We are in a better position, and I said that last night as well. I think that after everything that went on with Sam Allardyce and the problems we had with Roy Hodgson, I think we've improved. I think there's more of a togetherness now, and I think it is the right time for a better quality of manager. In my eyes, we should go out and try and find ourselves someone that is considered top class to world class to come in and take us to the next level. The only way, though, there would be hypocrisy, in my opinion, was if I felt that Arteta and Southgate were one on the same level, which I don't. I think that Arteta has got the ability to be a much better manager than him. And if I said everything about them was identical, but then wanted one to stay and one to be sacked, then I could understand being called a hypocrite. But I view Southgate and I view Arteta in very different ways. Therefore, my opinion on them is going to differ. I also, by the way, respect, as I've always said before, I respect the fact that you don't think Arteta is ever going to be good enough to get you to the very top. And that element of your opinion on Arteta, I've never actually challenged at all. That element that you can't challenge that element of someone's opinion because it is what it is, and only time's going to tell whether they were right or they were wrong about it. As an example, and I think for me, the boring football. Some people are saying that now I want style over substance. It's not what I've asked for. I said how bad the football is for me is foreshadowing for us falling short again. So I want someone to come in and make us better than what we have right now. And equally, on bringing it back to Arsenal around the hypocrisy bit, I have said if Arteta fails this year, my energy is identical to what I'm saying for Southgate. I believe that Arteta and your club have built a much stronger squad and foundation than I've seen you have in a long time. You're behaving in the right way as a football club in terms of the amount of money you've spent renewing the contracts of your better performing players. But if you get to the end of this year and the manager fails, then I do think you should look towards moving him on and bringing somebody in who's doing a better job. I feel the same about Southgate. I think Southgate's taken us as far as he can. I don't quite know if I don't think Arteta is quite there yet. The end of this season, I think, will give us a better idea. So I don't see that my energy is overly different, but I do believe that Arteta's got a higher ceiling than Gareth Southgate in terms of what he could become as a manager. So yeah, look, we agree on Southgate. I don't think he's good enough. I don't have a particular agenda other than the fact that I think we could waste a tournament by having him as our coach. Which I suppose you would understand because you think you're wasting your season having Arteta as your coach. So
yeah, I think that's why I have the same energy for both of them. Yeah, because I don't think Arteta's a better manager. Yeah, I think we can all agree on that. He's a better manager than Southgate. But you can't be bigging up Arteta and then criticizing Southgate. It makes no sense. And it's like people that say, "Oh,
it does."
It
makes sense because for me personally, if I think Arteta's better, therefore my treatment of them is both different. That makes it fair. If I think they're both the same level of manager,
what makes you think he's better? I think he's a better manager, by the way. But what makes you think that he deserves to carry on and Southgate don't?
So when I say deserves to carry on, we've got to categorize this. So firstly, I do think that Arsenal typically over the last 2 years play a better brand of football than England do. So stylistically, I think there's a better brand of football. I think with Arteta, because he is so fresh to this game, and I know he's doing an okay job at Arsenal in certain areas, I still think he would have been better off taking other jobs and building himself up before taking, in some respects, and going to an Arsenal, because he's learning on the job and he's going to make mistakes. But the way he plays football, the way he conducts himself, I don't even mind the way he comes across and the way he says things. I think there is potentially a top class manager in there. However, as I just said 2 minutes ago, if he this season comes fourth, nowhere near a title race, falls out of all the cup competitions, then I do think a serious conversation has to be had around, well, actually, look, he is still only a fledgling manager. He's helped to get us to a certain point. He's got us to a stage where we've got a really good squad of players. Could a world-class manager now come in and make us champions again, Champions League winners? So my energy is exactly the same towards both of them in terms of when I believe, and I can only go when I believe, because it's my opinion. When I believe Arteta's gone as far as he can, I'll have the same energy. And I still believe you've got to wait till at least the end of this season before I personally look at Arteta as a manager and say whether I think he should stay or go. So that's why I do think it's different.
Based on the last 3 major tournaments for England, then you wouldn't give Southgate this tournament after he's got to a quarters, a final, and a semi. That makes no sense. Because Arteta, in comparison, I know it's very hard to compare international football to league football, but Arteta's won nothing for 4 years. Yeah, Gareth Southgate's won nothing in 7. Gareth Southgate's managed less games in totality than Arteta has in totality at Arsenal, because they play less games for international. I think he's managed 89 games. I think he's the second most successful manager in terms of win percentage and all of that. Yeah, major tournament wins and stuff. Yeah, in fact, he's got us to a final, a semi, and a quarter. In comparison, Arteta has won 1 cup 4 years ago and won nothing ever since. So when you're saying that, the style of football's better, and what? Still didn't win anything. And you're saying if he finishes fourth and gets knocked out the cups, then you'd say he has to go because we weren't in a title race. So basically what you're saying is you hold Arteta to a different standard because, number one, you think he's better, which is cool, right? But if you don't win anything, it's still cool. Whereas with Southgate, the football's crap, so straight away you're on the defensive and, get rid of him.
So when it comes to Southgate, the football being poor is me believing that the way we've played in the last 2 games and multiple other times in the last 7 years is the reason why, part of the reason we won't get over the line. Southgate's decision-making in those big games, leaving Harry Kane on when he was exhausted, when Rashford and Sancho in the final, bringing them on to not touch the ball and then making them take penalties. They should have got the extra time, could have won the game. Rashford was on fire at the World Cup, bringing him on for the last 3 minutes against France when we needed a goal was for instead of Sterling. So the decision making that he's done, the style of football, and I believe he's come to the end of his tether. Again, I'm not got the energy is different because at this stage it's different because Arteta did have you in a title race last year. And I believe, looking at the points where you are now, you'll be in a title race again this year. But if he fails to get you at the very least into a title race and close to winning the league and you regress and wins no other trophies, then my energy will be exactly the same as it is for Gareth Southgate, that his job needs to be scrutinized. And of course, it's very hard to compare international managers, as you say, to club managers. It's a very different set of scenarios. But again, it's impossible to treat every manager the same because your personal feeling about them, your preference, your view on how good or bad they are is different. The better the manager you believe they are, the more leeway you give them, the more support you'd give them. And, you know, a manager like Pep, because he's the greatest in the world right now, if he goes for a bad run of form, nobody really will blink an eyelid. Somebody is seen as a trash manager and they lose 2 or 3 games on the bounce. I told you it was crap. You're never going to keep the same energy.
No, but you've just said based off of the last 2 games and a few decisions he's made for England with the penalties and Rashford and stuff like that. So we could do that for every single manager. Yeah, I could talk about when we went to Old Trafford and played a stupidly high line and got battered. You know, I could talk about when we went to Everton.
I know you can, Lee. Let me just stop you for a second. So I know you can, but that's because you see it one way. I'm only a hypocrite if my...
This is straight facts, right?
No, I understand you. But what I'm talking about is your opinion of a manager. I'm not suggesting that Arteta has not made mistakes. But when you judge an international manager, the mistakes are far more acute because it is fewer games. The real time you're focusing on them is in knockout competitions where one mistake you're out and then see you again in 4 years' time. It's a very different situation. I'm not suggesting for one singular moment that Arteta hasn't made mistakes. If I said I'm supporting Arteta because he hasn't made mistakes and I want Gareth Southgate out because he has, that would make me a hypocrite. But those words have never left my mouth in any way, shape, or form. I do believe that Arteta has made mistakes, and I have criticised him on many a match review since he's been your manager, especially in the first 2.5 years. The difference being is this: I don't think he's at the end of his time at Arsenal. I still think he's got the chance of winning you some major silverware. I respect the fact that you don't agree with that, and that's fine. But when it comes to Southgate, I don't believe he's going to win us any major silverware. So I can't treat them both the same if I feel about them and believe in them in different ways.
So what you're saying? No, I get that. So it's more about your feelings, than it is about facts. Yeah, because if you go from our last 3 major tournaments,
about my opinion,
3 major tournaments,
my opinion.
We have got to a World Cup final. A World Cup semi-final. We have got to a Euros final.
Yes,
and we've got to a World Cup quarter-final. So based off of factual information, there's nothing to suggest that we're not great and we don't have a chance to win it, even with this manager. Yeah, with Arteta, 1 title race has got everyone giddy, and because we're sat 3rd in the league this season. Yeah, let's just brush away the rest of it then. Yeah, because if that's what we're doing with Southgate and we're taking,
that's not what. That isn't what I'm doing with Southgate.
Well, I appreciate his track record in the last 3 major tournaments when he's got better squad of players to pick from now. Yeah, better players to pick, better pool of players, more decent, more technical footballers now than what he had when he first took over the job. Obviously, the performances have got better.
So Lee, but you agree with me that you don't think Southgate's good enough to win us a World Cup?
Highlighting the hypocrisy because
there isn't no hypocrisy. There isn't hypocrisy. There can only be hypocrisy if I state that Arteta and Southgate are the same level as manager. They both make the same mistakes. I both think they're at the end of the road. I think they're both X, both Y, both Z, but then want a different conclusion for both of them. I view them as different managers, and I have a different opinion. Lee, let me finish. I have a difference of opinion on both of them. It's not hypocrisy.
Well, it is, because you're saying that Southgate's gone stale. Your tweet last night was Southgate's gone stale.
And I do think he's gone stale. Okay, I do think he's gone stale. I think Arteta. I think Gareth Southgate's gone stale based on the style of football we're seeing, the last 2 games. Not just those games, a number of games during the qualifying campaign.
Sorry, we've even got 22 goals in 8 games.
Bro, let me finish speaking. Even before the last World Cup, I was talking about him. I think he needs to go. So 18 months ago, when we were getting battered up in the Nations League, I was talking about I think he needs to go, and I think he's come to the end of his time. We went to the World Cup, good in the group stages, got up to the France level, and he made poor decisions in that game that let us down. My feelings towards Gareth Southgate are not based on 2 games at the end of a qualifying campaign. It's been 18 months that I believe he has taken us as far as he can go. And so far, the proof's in the pudding, because we went from a semi-final to a final. And since I've been saying that I think it's time for us to go, we then got to a quarterfinal, which is regression within a tournament. The football has got worse. And we've dropped down levels when it comes to the Nation League. We're in a much lower position now than when we started. So over an 18,
scores the penalty, we're still in the World Cup, wouldn't we?
Oh yeah, but he didn't score his penalty.
No, so how's that the manager's fault that one of the best strikers on the planet misses a penalty?
So it's the manager's fault that he didn't make other changes in that game. He could have.
No, I'm talking about the penalty. If he scores the penalty, we'll probably win the game.
Right. Okay.
Yeah. So how is it his fault that one of the best strikers, if not the best striker in the world, spanks a penalty into space? How's that his fault?
So I don't blame the penalty miss on the manager.
No, but you're saying that quarterfinal is regression compared to a final in the previous tournament.
Lee, but this is where hypocrisy is coming from. Lee, the only hypocrite here is you, because you're calling, because you don't believe, you agree with me on my opinion on Gareth Southgate.
Yeah, I agree with you. I'm just highlighting the fact that we've got
but there's no hypocrisy.
A Euro,
hang on a minute.
Harry Kane spanks the penalty into oblivion.
But there's no hypocrisy. Because
there is.
No, there isn't. Because if Arteta was in a game today to win the league title and Saka skies a penalty, I wouldn't blame Arteta for that penalty being missed. The same as I'm not blaming Southgate for his penalty being missed. There's zero hypocrisy. The only time there's hypocrisy is if I call out Southgate for something that I wouldn't call Arteta out for, or I wouldn't call Ten Hag out for. And you haven't given one example of something I'm stating towards. No, you haven't. You haven't.
England looks scary. Yeah?
England looks scary. What's that got to do with anything?
They're unbeaten in the tournament qualifiers. Yeah, they've qualified with.
You don't agree with that.
No,
you don't agree with it.
But this is the stuff.
You don't think we're good enough. Nor do I. How am I hypocrite?
Let me talk.
How am I hypocrite?
You're saying that all of these things about Arteta, Arsenal just got scarier. Yeah, Arteta agenda exposed. Yeah, Arsenal theory is growing.
Yes.
Yeah. Arsenal's sensational and unbeaten. Well, England was sensational and unbeaten. They scored 22 goals and conceded 4.
Yeah.
Yeah, and we've qualified. Yeah, not only that, like I said, we've done all right in that World Cup. Unfortunately, Harry Kane missed a penalty. Yeah, and furthermore, it was against the current world champions. Yeah, the best team on the planet.
You said we did all right, but I thought football was just about winning.
That's like Arsenal missing a penalty against Man City.
I thought it was just about winning, though, Lee.
No, it is about winning. This is what I'm calling out.
So why are you disagreeing with me?
But I'm not. Just let me finish and you'll understand. When you're sitting there, so if it's all about winning, why is it scary when Arsenal do it, but stale when Southgate does it?
Because my opinions of the direction we're going in with Southgate at England is different from my opinion to what I think Arteta is doing with Arsenal. It's not hypocrisy. It's a difference of opinion. It's not.
It
Hang
is.
On, Lee, let me just say something. Lee. No, Lee, it's different. I've already explained that. My point is this. If you have a difference of opinion of what Liverpool are going to do this season with Klopp versus what City are going to do with Pep, that's not a hypocritical opinion. That's a difference of opinion.
No, you're totally changing the subject now because we're talking about opinions on what could happen.
I'm not.
No. Wait, you just said if you have a difference of opinion on City and Pep and Klopp or whatever, but that's based on what's going to happen. We don't know what's going to happen. Based on what's happened, factual information.
No, that's not what you do.
There's nothing to suggest, that Southgate is doing anything other than what he should be doing.
Okay, so based on that,
nothing to suggest that Arteta is going to be great.
Okay, so that's fine. So I don't want to hear you criticize Arteta anymore. You can't criticize him anymore. Hang on a minute, Lee. But this is the hypocrisy here. You're stating that I can't have the opinion I have on Southgate because we have no idea of knowing whether he'll foul or not in the future. So why do you criticize?
No, that's not what I said.
What did you mean by that
then? If you let me talk, I said your opinion on Southgate is based on your feeling towards Southgate based off of the last couple of games and a few decisions in tournaments, which is understandable. Cool. Yeah. Well, hold on. He sees the players 4 times a year, mate. Yeah. Not only that, the amount of players that pull out of these friendly games. Yeah. Now you've got Arsenal with Arteta doing 650 million. They don't just have to buy English players; they can buy any player in the country or the world, right? So the difference is he sees his players every single day in training, can spend what he wants within reason, This guy has got a pool of English players to pick from. Half of them pull out every single time there's a friendly. Okay. Yeah, and he's got a track record of getting to a final, a semi, and a quarter in the last 3 tournaments. So he's rubbish. He's gone stale for getting to a semi-final, a final, and the quarters. But this guy who's won nothing for 4 years, who can buy whatever players he wants within reason, yeah, sees his players every day, trains them every day in, day out. He's great because he got in a title race last season. Right. Make it make sense, mate. It makes no sense whatsoever.
Okay, so what you're getting, I understand that you don't agree with my opinion on Arteta. That doesn't make it hypocritical. That's not what being a hypocrite is. Hypocritical is the wrong word. We have a difference of opinion. I still think you're progressing under Arteta, and I still think you can win a major trophy. You disagree with that. You want Arteta out. We both agree with each other that Southgate isn't good enough to win England a major tournament. We both agree on that. We both have different views on who the best player in the world is, right?
Messi all day long.
No, the best Premier League player ever. We both have disagreements on that, right?
Yeah, Bergkamp.
And I think it's either Ronaldo or Henry. But that's not me being a hypocrite because I don't think that Bergkamp's the best ever player. It's a difference of opinion. My view on Arteta is different to yours. That doesn't make me a hypocrite because I'm not having... You think Arteta's gone stale and isn't going to go any further, but I don't. So you're holding my...
I don't think he's gone stale. I think he's took us to a level that we can't go past, the same as Southgate. Cool. Yes, but that's why I have the same energy for both of them.
No, but yes, exactly.
You have the same factual information.
You have the same energy on both because that's what you think. Me not agreeing with your opinion on Arteta doesn't make me a hypocrite.
No, it's what I think, Terry, based on factual information.
What factual
information? This guy can't get us over the line, and neither can Southgate. Yeah, but you're saying that he's gone stale and he's an up. Oh, he could be great.
I think Arteta can still get you over the line. Yeah.
Yeah, well, on that basis, you should still think Southgate can, based on the last 3 major tournaments.
So again, life don't work like that, Lee. No, it doesn't work like that. So what you're saying in its nth degree, at the end of your logic is, I have to think the same things about all managers, all teams, all players.
No. I base it. This show is called Straight Facts. Yeah, straight facts. Arsenal have not won nothing for nearly 4 years since this manager first got the job. Straight facts. Yeah, that's a factual piece of information. Yeah, factual piece of information as well is Gareth Southgate has managed less than 90 games for England and has got us to 3 in the last 3 tournaments, a semi, a final, and a quarter. There's nothing to suggest that he ain't going to be there or thereabouts again this season. The same as nothing to suggest that Arteta won't be. Yeah, because we're up there at the minute. So what's the difference?
My belief in both managers is different. My view on both of them is different.
So that's my point.
That's not hypocritical. That's an opinion.
It's not hypocritical. Well, it is because you can't hold Arteta to a different standard. Yeah,
I can if I think he's a better manager. I think he's a better manager.
Yeah, I think that Ancelotti and Simeone are great managers. Yeah, I think they're better than, say, I don't know, Jose, for example.
Right.
Yeah, but other people are saying, no, it's Jose. Okay, cool. Put the medals on the table then. Yeah, put your track record on the table. The track record for both of these managers in question, Southgate and Arteta, it's not great, is it? So there's not much of a muchness. I have the same energy based on
I cannot have the same energy towards two teams, 2 managers, 2 players that I think differently about. The only way it would be the same is if I'm criticized, I don't think, if I said Arteta's gone stale, but I think you should keep him, then you've got me. But I haven't said that. So there's no hypocrisy, none whatsoever. So
you're basing Arteta being in a title race last season and us being 3rd in the table, 1 point off top now. Yeah. So that's based on the last 18 months of football, which is what you said about Southgate. The last 18 months you've fallen out and said, no, I want him gone. But in the last 18 months, what's Southgate done? Exactly the same as Arteta, mate. Nothing.
No, he hasn't.
Yeah, he has nothing. They've both done nothing,
and that's fair for you to have that opinion, Lee.
No, it's factual information. You can't argue with facts.
But it's not factual information because not everybody. Lee, because I want to move on to the next subject. I want to end it by just saying this: not everybody views football your way, and I'll give you an example. You believe every 19 teams this season will be looked at as pure losers in the Premier League, right?
Yeah, 1 winner, 19 losers.
Yes, and lots of football fans will disagree with you on that. That is not based. That is, and you can call that a fact, but I think it's
factual information.
No, again, it is. Again, people don't view it. It's an opinion. Not because everybody.
Metric for success is winning something.
Yes. Okay,
so
and that's fair enough.
My opinion is irrelevant.
At the same time, Lee, let me finish the point because I want to move on. From my point of view, not everybody believes that all 19 teams should be looked at as pure, unadulterated losers. The same as you don't think Arteta's done anything in the last 18 months, where a lot of football fans would say you've progressed to a level now where you're at least challenging for these titles. You're in and around that race. So everybody will view these things differently and have differences of opinions. That doesn't make them a hypocrite. Only if they hold a different opinion for one than they do as another. But I'm explaining why I have a difference. If they can't explain their differences, then maybe you can call them a hypocrite. But I think one manager is better than the other.
The predefined metric for winning, for success, which is winning a trophy. Yeah, that's been there from day dot, mate. That's why trophies and medals were in sport.
At the same time, but you can't. Again, we're not going to get into this row again. We've done it so many times. No. Lee, it's not about being cooked. So I don't feel like I'm being cooked because I stand by what I've said. Lee, let me finish this sentence because I do need to move on to the next subjects. My point of view is this.
We could talk about this all day. Come on.
No, we can't because we've got other subjects. We've got other subjects to get onto. My point of view is very much. I don't think you could if Luton finished 15th in the Premier League this year, the size of the club they are, the income they have, I don't think you can look at them as pure unadulterated losers. They fouled, they had a bad season, where you do, and that's absolutely fine that you have a difference of opinion to me.
22 million in the summer out of the 300 million they got for getting promoted.
Yeah, and that's and mate, I just want to agree to disagree on that one. Listen, viewers, hit the like button and subscribe for us and make sure the bell notifications are turned on as well. I wanted to ask you about.
You're right.
I wanted to ask you about the. It's not that. I'm on a real tight schedule today because I've got my daughter's parents' evening and I really want to get these other talking points out. Everton's 10-point deduction. What do you make of it, mate?
I don't know why everyone's talking about City and Chelsea after it, if I'm being honest. Yeah,
okay, we'll get to that in a bit. But yeah, what do you make of Everton having 10 points? Are they, because a lot of Everton fans are acting like they're victims.
I see, was it Tim Sherwood? You did a video with Tim Sherwood saying, "Oh, I'm supporting Everton this season," or saying. At the end of the day, they owned up, they admitted it, and they've been docked. They've got a right to appeal. They will appeal, and they'll probably get 5 points shaved off of that. Yeah, what's the issue? Like, they've broken an FFP ruling or law or whatever you want to call it. Yeah, for the amount of losses. Fair play. I don't see what the hoo-ha is. Yeah, it's what it is. Yeah, like, they're one of the founder members of the Premier League. They've done something they shouldn't have done. They've admitted it real quick, and they've been charged real quick and sanctioned real quick. So I don't see what the issue is. You know, like I said, people waffling about the other two clubs. It's got nothing to do with Everton. It's got nothing to do with that. But again, it makes great storylines, doesn't it? Yeah, I did a video the other day, and I typed in Everton points deduction, space, Man City. Every single mainstream media outlet was waffling about Chelsea and City getting deducted points or relegation. Why? Based on what? Based on the fact that everyone will click on it. Yeah, and oh my God, yeah, we could cause attraction. No, rubbish. Yeah. What has Everton getting points deducted got to do with the other two clubs? Nothing. Because we actually knew the charge that Everton were on. We don't know all the charges that Chelsea and
Chelsea haven't even been charged yet. It's under investigation, so it's But what do you make? What do you make?
As for the Man City one, the Premier League, I think it was, had to change one of the charges because it was a different charge to what they'd charged them for, and they got the rule wrong, so they had to rewrite the charge. There's something to do with 2013 or 14. The grass was too small or something, some rubbish. Yeah, so they had to rewrite it. They don't even know what they're doing, mate. Yeah, the thing is, everyone keeps waffling about Everton. Oh, it's such a shame on Everton. Oh, little football club. They're not little. They're massive. Yeah, well, they were back in the day. Yeah, but let's have it right here. Yeah, they've broken the rule. They're charged. They're deducted points. That's it. Get over it. Just because it's Everton and it ain't the team you want it to be. Tough.
Everton 110.
Run the club better.
Yeah, Everton 110%. I cannot understand for the life of me this. Oh, woe is me. The way the pundits are sticking up for them, the way journalists are saying it's excessive. It's a completely separate situation to Man City's. Man City's we'll get onto in a minute. They lost over £300 million. They got lots of it written off, which was within the rules because there's certain things you can lose money on. Investing in women's game, infrastructure, stadiums, investing in youth, all these things you can lose money on. But they're even trying to. I read a piece today a journalist put out around. They tried to say basically we got 20 million less when we sold Richarlison because COVID essentially knocked all the prices down. The Spurs didn't want to pay it to us. Okay, well then spend 20 million pound less on the players you're bringing and buying in. They've clearly overspent. They've overinvested trying to gain a sporting advantage, trying to become a better team, and their project failed. They've lost money. It's the right punishment for them. And I'm glad to actually see some of these rules have some damn teeth. I'm really glad to see them actually have some teeth and punish a team in an adequate way. I get so sick and tired of, people they get a 2-year transfer ban, they do an appeal, and then it only turns out to be 1, and it doesn't really deter them. You think, well, you might as well cheat again. If there's no deterrent, you might as well cheat, you might as well break rules, you might as well act outside the regulations that they all sign up to every single year. So yeah, I don't buy into this nonsense that they've been hard done by. Also, like when City's comes up, when City's trial happens, if they're found guilty, they are in so much trouble. They are. It's ridiculous how much trouble they're going to be in when you read through what
the charges, though, Terry. Real talk.
What do you mean?
There's literally about 5 that could potentially ruin them. Other than that, the other 110 are a load of rubbish. Yeah, but again, it makes a great storyline. Yeah, I've just Googled it as well, because Man United on the 14th of July this year got fined €300,000 for breaking FFP rules over a 4-year period from 19 to 22.
Yeah. So
where was the hype then?
Again, so we obviously spoke about it on the show. They didn't break rules; they breached, as in they lost too much money in that particular period. So there's also a distinction. Yes. So this is the distinction. Everton have not been accused of circumventing or cheating the system. They've failed to meet the standards. They've lost too much money. The word breach, it's being used for Cities and it's also being used for Everton's. The media have got to do something about the language because it's very conflatory. Does that make sense? Because breaching the rule is different from cheating the rule. Does that make sense? Like what City have been accused of is paying managers from offshore accounts, the same as Chelsea, paying transfers through offshore accounts. That's very different from a team overspending or getting its business plan wrong, because there's nothing wrong with a team spending a lot of money year one, so they're in a big loss, and then recouping that over a 2-year period. So by the end of 3 years, they're within the parameters. Everton have just got it wrong and got themselves a bit muddled up and made a mistake. So there is a fundamental difference between what Everton have been found guilty of and what Man City have been charged with. Man City have been charged with cheating and falsifying the income into their football club. Yes, there's other charges as well for the grass and things like that. But the main big 5 charges are that. Plus there's an additional 5 charges for 5 years running, not cooperating and not providing the documentation that the Premier League have been asking for, and so on and so forth. So there's a lot of things in there connected to those, but they're essentially accused of generating incomes in a way in which are not allowed in the Premier League. So there is a difference.
You say that, but Man United did exactly the same as Everton. Yeah, you can say breached and cheating. It's the same thing.
No, it's not.
Well, it is. It's the same thing. You've breached the rule. Yeah, you've cheated the rule. It's the same thing. You've both lost money in a certain time period that you shouldn't have lost because it's too far over. You've been fined €300,000 and they've been docked 10 points. Breaching, breaking, cheating, it's the same thing.
But it isn't. It
isn't. Just a different word. That makes it sound better.
It isn't a different word. It is the facts. If you're in a 400-meter race, if you're in a 400-meter race and you step outside your lane, you get kicked out the race, right? You're banned. You don't. If you win it, you don't get a medal.
The line.
Yes, because you breach the line. If you win,
therefore you've cheated.
Hang on, no, because you've done it by accident. You have not meant to do it. If you then take anabolic steroids and you're caught, that's cheating. Stepping outside the lines is not cheating. And the wording that the media use is very key, because the word breach just makes everybody think they've broken rules. So there is a fundamental difference between the two things. That doesn't mean Everton shouldn't be punished, but I agree with you. The conflating I'm seeing of, well, why haven't City been charged yet? It's a much bigger situation with much bigger ramifications. They're not even comparable to one another in any way, shape, or form.
Well, they are, because you both lost money in a certain time period that you shouldn't have lost. Yeah, and breaching. Your analogy there of the 400-meter runner. Yeah, banned. It's got nothing to do with taking anabolic steroids. Yeah, because at the end of the day, yeah, Man United and Everton have both done exactly the same thing. Difference is Man United got the word breached in their thing. Yeah, Everton didn't. So it makes it sound less of an issue.
So again, Man United's breach wasn't with the Premier League. Man United's breach was with FFP, which is UEFA. Everton have done nothing with UEFA. Everton's is the profit and sustainability rule. So they're both different with different associations.
Yeah, different associations, but it's still the same thing. You both lost money that you shouldn't have lost. You lost too much money in a certain time frame. Yeah, one was with one establishment, one was with another, but you still done the same thing.
Right, and we've been
so
punished.
The word breached is irrelevant. Yeah,
but we've been punished. But what's your point?
You got punished 300 grand. They got punished 10 points. Yeah, my point is there was none of this hoo-ha about Man United because the word breached was in it when that came out in July.
Well, there was no hoo-ha because obviously it was a relatively small fine. We don't know the exact details. It's never been released by UEFA or by the club, but it's a different competition. The hoo-ha is because 10 points have been deducted. If Man United would have been kicked out of the Champions League, there definitely would have been hoo-ha, wouldn't there?
Man United, United described it as a minor break-even deficit. So they can, again, clever wording. Yeah, United describe it as a minor.
Mate, and I understand.
So they haven't broken even. Therefore, they're in deficit. Therefore, they've broken the law of the game, the rules for FFP. Yeah, you got a tiny little fine of 300 grand. Your words, tiny fine. That's why there was no hoo-ha because it was a tiny fine. Yeah, Everton have been docked 10 points for doing a minor deficit of 20 million quid. Same thing.
How much was Man United's?
Man United. Let me see if I
can
find
how much was the
figure.
deficit?
I don't know. I can't see it on this article. I'll try and find it, but it doesn't say on this. Hang on. Okay. Right. Reflected UEFA adjusted COVID losses, 15 million of 281 of revenues due to pandemic. Blah blah blah. It's understood United's stance, they were unable to adjust for 47 million COVID losses. So you actually had a bigger deficit, yeah, which is a breach, than Everton because there was 19 million.
So no, I want to ask you a question. So when you say 48, what's the threshold with UEFA?
What do you mean?
Because Everton lost 124 million, but the threshold is 105. What's the threshold?
Well, don't tell me on this article.
Yeah, I'm just asking. I haven't seen that.
They were unable to adjust. Look at the wording of this. United, yeah, it is understood. United's stance is that they were unable to adjust for 47 million of COVID losses in 2022 monitoring period. Yeah.
Yes, because that's what Everton have adjusted.
Seen change in how UEFA treated the losses. Yeah.
Yes, so that's the same as Everton. So with Everton's, what happened
is
they lost. But okay, again, let me make my point. So they lost over 300 million, but they were able to wipe off about 170 million of that in adjustments as an example. But I understand that there wasn't as much hoo-ha being made. I get that, but I'm not understanding your overarching point. We both agree, don't we, that Everton's 10-point deductions, right? Yeah.
Well, I couldn't care less if I'm being honest. What I'm saying is Man United got €300 fine. Nobody waffled about it. Yeah, Everton get docked and everyone's crying. Yeah, like have the same energy for both clubs. I know it's two different organisations, but you breached the rules. Surely you should be docked points.
So, well, we can't be docked points in the Premier League for something that's to do with UEFA.
Banned from Europe, then something.
So you think we should be banned from Europe?
€300,000 fine. Yeah, Marcus Rashford gets paid more than that a week, Terry. Everton have been docked 10 points.
This is all I've been trying to get to. So you're not saying why are we... People are not slamming Everton having points taken away. They're saying they shouldn't have done. So what are you saying? Man United should have been? That's what I'm confused about. I don't really get your stance. What I'm saying
is have the same energy for both football clubs. You've both breached the rules.
Yes.
Yeah, both breached the rules. You've breached them.
So you want everybody sticking up for Man United because everyone's sticking up for Everton.
No, wait. You breached the rule by double the amount of losses that Everton had for their one. They had 19.5 million quid. Right. Yeah, which was over what it should be, and you had 47 million.
Now they lost 124 million.
No, they had 19.5 million quid, Terry.
That's over the limit, but they lost 124 million.
No, they had 19 million.
No, they lost 100.
Yeah, forget the 105 you're allowed to lose over 3 years. They lost 124, so that's 19.5 million over what they're allowed to lose.
Yeah, but like I asked you,
for 47 million.
What over the limit?
That's what you got fined for. I've just read it out.
You said we lost 100. You said we lost 47 million.
For 47 million quid in 2022.
Yes. Is that what we lost in totality or over the threshold?
Well, you got fined for a reason, Terry.
No, but again, you're not listening to what Lee. No, I don't understand what you're saying, Lee, because you're not listening. The point is, Everton were 19 million over the threshold, yes?
Yeah.
But they lost 124 million.
Yeah, but
you said we were
over the threshold.
No, it's not. If you let Lee, let me finish my question. You said we lost 47 million. I'm asking you, did we lose 47 million in totality, or were we 47 million over the threshold? That's not an unfair question.
Well, if you was only 47 in totality, you wouldn't have been fined, mate, because the threshold's 105. Come on, we're talking
Premier League threshold and UEFA threshold could be different, could they not?
No, because it's all relative to percentage of your income.
No, Terry. It's not. It's all there's the limit. There's the limit.
Okay. Well, either way, Terry, you lost
you're reading it out. I'm asking you to tell me.
What you should have done. Yeah, and the threshold is 105. Yeah, and I'm pretty.
You're saying UEFA's threshold 105 or the Premier? I know the Premier League is. What's UEFA's?
Well, surely it's the same, right?
No, I don't know. I'm asking you. You're the one who's got the information, not me.
Well, don't tell me unless I sit here googling it for about 20 minutes. Maybe the
you don't know whether. So you don't know whether we lost more.
There you go. 105 is the threshold for UEFA as well. So you're 47 million over, and like I said, you wouldn't have been 47 million in totality because you're legally, within the eyes of the law, allowed to lose 105 million anyway. You're allowed to lose 105 million, whether it's UEFA or anywhere. Yeah, you're allowed to lose 105 mil. You were 47 million over. Everton were 19 over. They get docked 10 points. You get €300 slap on the wrist.
So maybe we should. But listen, again, I understand it. All I'm trying to do is understand where you're coming from and what you're saying. So you want the way people are. My question was: are you surprised the amount of people defending Everton? And you've kind of gone on about they should be angry at Man United. I kind of get.
No.
That's why I was confused.
No.
That was my question.
No, Terry. The fact is, they broke the rules. They've been docked. Tough titties. That's it.
I agree with you. We agree.
But my point is, where was the outrage when Man United broke the rules?
But there hasn't been outrage to Everton. They've been defended. That's what I was confused about.
There's either outrage for Man United, which there clearly isn't, hence why hardly anyone knew they've been fined in the summer, right? Because it weren't a major thing on Sky Sports and any other media out there. Nobody was talking about it. But now it's Everton get docked 10 points. Everyone feels sorry for Everton. Okay, cool. We'll now hold Man United to the same account then and get them docked 10 points. Or treat Everton the same as Man United got treated and feel like, oh, we're just brushed out under the carpet. You can't have it both ways. One club's done the same as the other club, but the club that got fined 300 grand broke the rules by double the amount of money.
I don't listen. I think your opinion holds water. This is all. Listen, your opinion isn't what's bothering me. I'm genuinely confused because for me, I agree with you that they shouldn't be made to look like victims, Everton, 100%. But your response to it is Man United should be cooked. But my point is no one's cooking Everton. They're on their side. So if the energy's the same, you want people defending Man United. It's weird.
I never said Man United should be cooked. I said Man United cooked their books. Yeah, the same as Everton have done, but Everton have been held to a different standard. They
haven't been held to a different standard by the media and by fans. They're being made to be victims. So you want people backing Man United or against us?
Nobody's mentioned Man United's fine. I ain't seen anyone mention it.
Well, I have. We did shows on it, so I can't speak for you, but we definitely did shows on it on the terrace.
The reason I knew Man United got fined 300 grand is somebody put it in my chat yesterday. It's the only reason I knew they got fined 300 grand. I didn't know that, and that was in July. Yeah, nobody was putting that all over the internet. Maybe you were. I don't know. Yeah, but nobody else. None of the mainstream media were running with Man United fined by FFP constantly every day. Yeah, wheel out Tim Sherwood, wheel out this person. Oh my God, yeah, I'm Man United for the rest of the season. Yeah, so same energy. Yeah, and this is where I get the ump with certain things. Yeah, because you've broken the rule, the law. Yeah, which is the same as them, but you've done it by double or more the amount. You get 300 grand. They get 10 points. Yeah, and now everyone's then waffling about Man City and Chelsea. Well, Chelsea ain't even been charged. Yeah, and 95% of the charges Man City have got are complete rubbish anyway. Yeah, and probably the other 5%, they've probably already had thrown out by UEFA anyway. But again, it's a whole media thing where they just love to cause a drama train. Yeah, brush Man United under the carpet. Forget, nobody needs to know they got fined. But we make a big song and dance about Everton. Yeah, but then what we'll do is we'll write all of these articles and put Man City and Chelsea in there, and they could be relegated to cause a drama. They ain't getting relegated, mate. That's 2/3 of the top 6. They're not relegating them.
So in terms of what Man City have done and what Chelsea potentially, well, both of them potentially have done because they haven't obviously had their moment. If they're found guilty of both of them financially doping, paying for things via offshore accounts, what do you think the punishment for them should be?
Well, is it Is it provable that Mancini didn't do any work for the offshore account company?
So again, so I'm painting a picture here. So if they're found guilty of these things, if the commission says we believe they've done what they're accused of, what do you believe? Sorry,
relegate them. If they've broken the rules that badly, relegate them. But let's be real, nothing's going to happen, Terry, because it's unprovable. Yeah, it's unprovable. Mancini got paid X, Y, and Z from this company that was registered to this person and blah, blah, blah. Prove he didn't do any advisory work for that company. His contract, I said this on the show yesterday. Let's say that Man City agreed 10 million a year salary for him, yeah? But said, what we're going to do is we're going to pay you 6 million out of the company, Man City, and we're going to pay you the other 4 million out of another company. That ain't breaking the rule, right? Because prove he didn't do any advisory work for that company. Clever accounting, Terry. Why is there so many post boxes in the Cayman Islands? Yeah, same thing, right? Same thing. Yeah, so people are getting all their knickers in a twist. Yeah, the fact is they've done clever business. Yeah, and if it means that it's unethical, tough. You're posting your comments on an iPhone, mate. Turn it in. Yeah, go and have a look at the vapes with the lithium batteries in them, mate, and see how long that takes. Yeah, do you know what I'm saying? Like, come on, get your Tesla out. Yeah, get your Nike trainers and all that. Order it off of Shein and Amazon. We could go on and on and on here, Terry. Yeah, maybe, just maybe, yeah, it's unethical. Yeah, but maybe, just maybe, it's clever accounting, mate. Yeah, which every big business on the planet does. Yeah, but guess what? Because it's Man City and it's Chelsea and they've won everything, and our clubs are crap because they don't go above and beyond and they don't try to win. They're just there for the top four money. Yeah, everyone gets in their feelings and starts crying. Oh, strip them of their title. We're due a title. Man, you are due two. Tottenham are due. Shut up, man. How about make your club better? Instead of crying about Man City.
Yeah, but you wouldn't want Arsenal to break the rules of the game and cheat to be better.
Are you telling me that Arsenal have never broken the rules?
That isn't my question.
Terry, I couldn't care less. If you ain't cheating, you ain't trying, mate. Yeah, let's be real here. Arsenal signed a player that cheating to keep good relations with them. Yeah, we signed Marquinhos. We signed Marquinhos. He was a free signing, and we gave him 2.5 mil.
Yeah, but
why
not
is that not being investigated?
Because, well, it depends. Did you pay the money directly through Arsenal's accounts and their bank accounts, and did you equate for that £205 million spend?
There we go.
But you did. It went through Lee, but it went through Arsenal. The point is this: you can't sign somebody for free, and then an offshore account that the Cronkies have in the Cayman Islands, they then transfer £5 million to that football club. Because why you can't do that is because you're circumventing the accounts. So on your trading accounts, that's going to show as a free transfer in, but the $5 million doesn't show as going out. That is against the laws of the game.
Another company, but that could go down as advisory services for footballing information, or managerial advice.
But Lee,
it's ways around it, isn't it? It's clever accounting.
Lee, I understand that, but this is, I think, let's sit in the real world for a minute. In a court of law, as in criminal law, you're right. It'd be very hard to prove this beyond reasonable doubt, but this isn't in a criminal case. This is civil, and it's based on probability and likelihood, and they don't need to be 100% sure. You know as well as I do. And Chelsea's situation is making this a lot harder for people.
But they do need to be 100% sure.
No, they don't need to be. They don't need to be.
Can pay for the best lawyers in the world, mate.
But they don't need to be. They don't need to be able to prove it unequivocally for it to go. Both the Premier League and City are going to put their cases forward, and then an independent commission is going to make a judgment on who they think is right or wrong. Even when it comes to it's going to be a judgment call based on what's happened. But what's making this really interesting is when you look at what Chelsea have self-reported, because Chelsea's self-reporting is putting a massive, massive spotlight over football. It's why we've seen today Spurs and accusations come out about them from something from 2008. And I said to a few Spurs fans I know earlier, you're going to see more of this, not just for Spurs, but for everybody.
Yeah, and that story is another load of rubbish, because 2006 or 2008, whenever it was, that was already skyboshed anyway. That was put in the bin back then. But again, it's resurfaced because it's fashionable to get traction right now. But
I tell you why I feel like why they're going to do it is because I see this in the banking industry when it works in it. There was a point in about 09, 2010. There's a number. I weren't working in this department, but you saw it going a lot. All these people were getting suspended for these poor practices. Turned out they were all doing it. And every time one person got suspended, they G'd somebody else up, who then G'd their boss up, who G'd. Suddenly, you had like hundreds of members of staff that were suspended. And it was getting bigger and bigger. And in the end, they realized if we end up following through with one of these sackings, we're going to end up getting rid of 2, 3, 4,000 people. So they had to draw a big line under it all, retrain everybody, quote unquote, retrain everybody, and just go, but no more of that, because they were going to end up in a really vulnerable situation. And I think that certain clubs might start, because all the clubs are going to know all the dodgy things that other clubs have done because it's a small industry. But the point I was making about Chelsea is they're self-reporting these things. So they're the ones that have said, look, we signed Samuel Eto'o for nothing. No,
they didn't self-report that. They didn't self-report that at all.
That's the one they did. So
that is a Guardian report with a load of Dutch journalists that have been doing an undercover investigation.
That's part of it. But I did a video on it. They self-reported the Eto'o and the Willian situation 2 or 3 weeks earlier. We did content on it. 2 or 3 weeks before that Guardian article, they'd self-reported that they'd found these anomalies in the accounting.
And again, that was under Abramovich. So nothing's going to happen. How can you do something to a club and the owner's been forced out?
But that's not truly. If this is why something can happen. Chelsea have been did impeccably well in the Roman Abramovich era. But I want to ask you this question: do you think it's okay if they didn't have the money to sign Eto'o because the club he was at wanted 30 million, and they didn't have the money to buy him at the club, and the manager has gone outside the law of the game and has transferred 30 million to that football club via an offshore vehicle to circumvent the rules of the game so they could land him another talent? Do you think that's acceptable?
Yeah, because they're going above and beyond. They're trying to win. Yeah, and unfortunately, mate, English football is in the gutter. The standards are on the floor. Yeah, standards are on the floor. It's all about, I'll give you another example. Tony Bloom, the Brighton chairman, the owner, won the best president award in Europe. What are you waffling about? He's took his club from 122 years to 123 years without a trophy. How's he the best president? He put 250 million quid in his pocket in the last 2 summers.
What, in his personal
Edu won the best director award in Europe. For what? Bottling a title and signing Kai Havertz. Yeah, and Jorginho. Yeah, football's in the all-time low, mate. It's an all-time low. Yeah, and FFP shouldn't even be a thing anyway. Yeah, how can somebody want to be successful and want to spend money on their football club be told you can't spend the amount of money you want when they've got billions? Yeah, in City's case or Abramovich's case, they've got 20, 30 billion, the sheikhs or whatever, but they're not allowed to spend their money, yeah, because it might upset Luton Town or Sheffield United or Brighton or Villa. And what? Yeah, at the end of the day, I think 17 out of the 20 teams in the Premier League are owned by billionaires. What's the issue here? Yeah, and not only that, all of this post-boxing Dubai and all of this rubbish, good. Keep doing it. I wish my club were doing it. Yeah,
so you are advocating and supporting the idea of cheating and breaking the rules.
The rules are BS, Terry. Let's just be real with it.
But they're there, though.
Yeah, they're there to stop anyone breaking in to the Big Six.
Nonsense.
So why can't a team in the Big Six, that's the wealthiest team in the league, bar Newcastle, go out and spend whatever he wants when you quite clearly see he's got the money? Furthermore, when they forced Abramovich out of Chelsea, I'm pretty sure it was the British government that sold that football club. Yeah, they forced him out and had a deal in to sell that football club.
That's another subject.
How comes they know? I'm not changing the subject. How comes they never found any of these discrepancies?
Because they
never found any of the discrepancies.
So they did. The government didn't.
Well, they didn't, because otherwise it would have come out then.
No. So listen, read the damn articles, Lee. The Premier League did not do a thematic review on Chelsea when they sold it. That never happened. But Clearlake and Todd Bowley's group, when going through the accounts to buy the football club, this is when they noticed them. They were flagged all the way back then. It's only taken until now for it to start coming out via the media. So there was a thematic review done by Clearlake when they purchased the football club, and they found these anomalies. Read the articles in full, Lee. It was there. They found it.
The articles have been hidden from us for over a year.
Well, no, the article hasn't been hidden, but the information has, because it was self-reported.
Make that make sense then, right? So you're telling me that the British government, who were in charge of selling that football club, one of the biggest in the country at that time, one of the most successful, probably the most successful at that time in the last 2 decades, the British government didn't do any of these checks before selling it to another guy?
No.
Wow.
They don't.
There you go. That sums up the state of England and football, mate.
Well, maybe, but they don't do that. There is, and the reason why that doesn't happen is
when they do the fit and proper person test, and they do the due diligence and all of that on people coming into the league. The British government didn't bother doing that before taking that club off of him and going, right, let me check everything before we sell it to you. Like, come on.
So, but the reason they don't do it is because there's no regulator in football. The British government are asking to regulate the Premier League, and the Premier League is saying no. I agree with you. There should be a regulator, because what would happen if there was a regulator is these supposed allegations up against Chelsea and City would have been found at the beginning. If your accounts were thematically reviewed by an independent body every year to check that everything you're reporting is accurate, everything you're spending is up to date, the wages you're declaring that you're giving a player or a manager is going in and out your club and not via external vehicles, we wouldn't be in this type of mess. And your point on FFP...
Sorry to cut you off. Let me just say one more thing, right? You run your business, yeah? Multiple businesses and all that. When you put your accounts in, yeah, you do clever accounting, right? We all do.
In what way? You know, okay.
What way?
Right, yeah, go on.
What do you mean, in what way?
Yeah, I mean, go on. What's your point?
My point is, for example, the Mancini one. Mancini has been paid, allegedly, from this third-party company, which is owned by the same owner of the club that he was managing.
Mm-hmm.
That's very difficult to prove that anything's been done wrong there. Just because he's been paid from the same owner, via another company that owner of Man City owns, just because he's been paid by Man City and then paid by him or just paid by him, and what? Prove that is a rule breach or break, whatever you want to call it. Because at the end of the day, it's, for me, that ain't breaking the law. That ain't breaking the rules. Yeah, that is just super smart and finding a way around. Finding a way around.
This is the thing, though. If I was doing that with you, so if I have two businesses, I have TFT Productions and I have the Football Terrace Limited, and you're working for the Football Terrace, but TFT Productions pays you, there is no issue with that, because that's not against the law. What City have done and what Chelsea have been accused of doing, or both been accused of doing, I won't say neither have been found guilty, is not breaking the law, it's breaking the rules of the Premier League. So therefore, yes, you can say it's clever, but it's still outside the law of the game. The point you're also missing here, sorry?
But is it though?
It is. It's against the law. It's against the rules. It is. It's a rule break.
Well, on that basis alone, then I fully expect to see your video, condemning them not being charged and getting banned or whatever when it comes out. Then, because if it's against the laws and against the rules, then surely they're 100% guilty. It should have been done and dusted.
If it's again, but this is where me and you again. I don't think we overly disagree. If they're found guilty. So my point of view is this: we can only go based on what we've seen so far. And the one thing I would say that doesn't look good for Man City is the emails, which weren't hacked by some chinless wonder in his mother's basement. It's an ex-employee that logged into their system and downloaded them. So do you get where I'm coming? This isn't like a hack as in like in a computer spy film. This is someone just logged in with their... It's legit. They don't look good. But you're right. If they're proven to be innocent, then you won't see anybody more vocal in saying they're innocent than me. The same as you've never seen me criticize how much they spend. I've always praised how well they're run. But if they are found guilty, what I'm not going to sit there and do is go, yeah, they're guilty, but the rules are stupid anyway. Because that for me is a cop-out answer. At the end of the day, they've agreed to those rules and they've circumvented them if indeed they are found guilty. But I wanted to ask you a question. I've seen a lot of City fans say that FFP was only brought in to like stop teams like Man City getting to the top. Do you agree with that?
Yep. Yeah. You can only spend a percentage of what your income is. Why? So if you were a multi-billionaire, Terry, and you decided that you're going to go and buy Leyton Orient, right, you've got no chance of ever winning a Premier League, ever, because you're not allowed to spend the money. So what's the point? What's the point? Yeah, the reason that was brought in, is to stop people breaking into the main five, the top four, top five. Now it's top six, big six, whatever you want to call it. That's the only reason, because the founder members of this Premier League, including Everton, the 5 founder members, why do you think Everton only got 10-point deduction? Because there's 3 teams in this league, if not 4, if you include Bournemouth, that are crap. So give them a 10-point, slap on the wrist, 20-odd games to go, they'll stay up. Yeah, they'll stay up. So yeah, Man City fans are right by saying that. At the end of the day, that's why people have got the ump, because Man City have broken the hoodoo, that Man United, Arsenal and Chelsea had. Between the 3 of us winning titles. So now Man City are the dominant team, and now they're fuming because how can this guy come, take Manchester City, yeah, and be better and bigger than every club in the league in terms of performances and trophies. Yeah, everyone's fuming about it. But again, like I said earlier, if both of them clubs, Chelsea and City, get found guilty of all of the 115 charges, and then obviously Chelsea baiting themselves up and admitting it, neither are getting relegated. Neither are getting relegated. There's no way in a billion years the Premier League will relegate 2 of the big 6. Yeah, they're straight away their income slashed. Yeah, how many people around the world tune in to watch Man City every week? Because they're the best team in the league. Yeah, people tune in to watch Chelsea because they're absolute banter at the minute. Yeah?
I agree. I want to ask a question though. If FFP is designed to stop City reaching the top, how have they become the best team in the world under FFP?
Clever accounting.
So you believe that,
and not only that, they've hired the best people in the best position in every position. Yeah, their chairman, what's his name, Khaldoon Al Mubarak, mate. Just listen to that guy speak. Different level, mate.
Yeah, so I just want to clarify what you speak. I want to clarify what you mean when you say clever accounting. You mean the cheating that they're alleged of doing?
Well, I'm not saying cheating because it ain't cheating.
If they're proven to have not cheated,
yeah, it's all ifs and buts, Terry.
Okay. So I'm getting to a point. So if they're proven to have not cheated, and this is all legit income, legit sponsors, they're not circumvented, then FFP hasn't stopped them doing anything, has it? They're still the best team in the world. So your point about me being a billionaire and buying Orient and FFP would stop me getting to the top. It hasn't stopped City. And you look at Newcastle, 18 months ago, we're a relegation team, brand new owners, brilliant owners that want to make them the best. They're already a Champions League team and progressing. You look at the likes of Bournemouth and Brentford and the Brighton.
The Champions League once.
Hang on. But at the same time, we've seen an improvement in Newcastle in 18 months under FFP. You mentioned earlier about me buying Leighton Orient and I could never get them near the top. Just go and look where 10 years ago when FFP started. Go and look where the likes of Brighton and Brentford and Bournemouth and these clubs were. Luton, look where they were. And they have all, under FFP and sustainability rules being in the game, have all progressed with very good owners.
Now add up their trophies.
Okay, again, but this is the point I'm making. You're looking at small clubs who have had new owners and new people come in over the past decade or two that have grown them from being minuscule and have got them into the Premier League. Some of them might be years away. Let me finish my point. They've gone from being minuscule and tiny, and they're now in the Premier League, and some of them are starting to really punch well above their weight. It's going to take them time. It's going to take them a lot of time to be able to genuinely compete with the Man United and everybody else. Now, I get your point that if they had a multi-billionaire come in that could afford to lose 20 billion and he's still super rich, that if they could come in and spend all they wanted, they could get to those positions a lot faster. But in my view, when you look at owners that have come in and spent huge, exorbitant amounts of money, yes, Roman did a great job. Sheikh Mansour's done a great job. But up until FFP came in and started controlling it, it was creating a lot more problems. Look at the Portsmouth, the Leeds, the Rangers, the Gretnas, Leighton Orient are a prime example.
We've just both established that the UK government sold Chelsea.
It's nothing to do with that, Lee.
Let me talk. We've just established that the UK government forced out an owner, who was winning stuff, without doing any checks on the club and giving the club to another guy. Yeah, so you can waffle all you like, Terry. You mentioned a minute ago.
What's that got to do with anything?
No, because at the end of the day, you're talking about stories and fairy tales. None of these clubs win anything.
What stories and fairy tales? What's the story and fairy tale?
No, hold up. You just said about Luton Town. Oh, they were minuscule, some of these clubs. Now they're in the Premier League. But they're still minuscule, aren't they? They just managed to get to the Premier League. They're still minuscule.
But they're progressing. But they're progressing. But you said teams can't progress under FFP. They're progressing. How's that possible?
They're progressing. They pocketed 300 million quid in the summer and spent 22 mil.
So in your opinion, so your opinion is that the likes of Brighton and Luton and Brentford have not progressed in the last decade. Have they progressed or not in the last 10 years?
Sorry, progression is what you love to dress up as. Oh, we've progressed. You either win or you lose. It comes back to what we said about an hour ago.
How many teams in League One and League Two win the FA Cup and League Cup?
How many of them bother to try and win it?
Do you think any of them could?
I think they could if they tried. But guess what? There's no money in that, mate. The money is about getting in the Premier League. Yeah, so that's why you see League One teams trying to get into Championships and then get Premier League. Yeah, that's why you see Premier League teams throwing the cups in the bin. That's why you see League One teams throwing the cups in the bin. Because if you win the FA Cup, you're getting 6 million. It's like you're getting the Premier League, you're getting 200 million.
I think this is
What's
where
the
me.
incentive?
I think where me and you disagree on this, and maybe it's because I've got brothers that support a very small club like Leighton Orient,
My
and
brother supports Derby County.
okay. So I'm just they're a much bigger team than Leighton Orient. To be fair, like Derby, get back in the day anyway. But like I look at it from the perspective of yes, they want money, but they want the money for part of it is for sustainability in the sense of Premier League money for some of these tiny clubs that get themselves there. There is an element of keeping some of that money in the short to medium term so they are highly sustainable, because outside the Premier League, nearly every single club loses money because of just the way that the pyramid structure. And I do believe that more should be done to filter money down and stop this from happening. But the reason why I don't think FFP is I've always said to you before, there's got to be reform and they've got to look at making it better. But the difference is this: if you just start letting any club that has a billionaire spending whatever they want, you're going to get a lot of clubs in the medium to long term that are going to go out of business, because they would create wage bills and they would create costs that they would not be able to maintain should anything happen to that, to the benefactor, in the sense of the club putting the money in. This happened to a very small club in Scotland called Gretna, who were a tiny little club, and they got this very, very wealthy man came in, started pumping as much money as he could. There was no limits, got them all the way to the Scottish Prem. They got to a Scottish Cup final, and then God rest his soul, he dropped down dead. That club don't exist anymore because of the level of money that was being pumped into it. Nobody else stepped in to say, well, we'll keep spending that money. They went out of business. They couldn't. The debtors were so high. The wages they had to pay. There has to be checks and balances on this. However, I think owners should be able to pump more money into their clubs, and I think that can be negotiated on. However, at the end of the day, I understand your point that you want your owners to act a certain way, but I don't think rules, just because you disagree with them, is something that we should tolerate or celebrate or not look into. Because
it's all if buts and maybes. We don't know if they have broken the rules. But again, it makes great storylines. Yeah, we don't know. Everyone's hoping they broke the rules because their team are crap. So they're hoping Man City broke the rules, because now that's a big problem out the way, Terry. Yeah, but how about Man United fans and Arsenal fans demand what Man City are doing? Yeah, going and doing above and beyond, going and getting the best players, the best managers. Yeah, instead of talking about dogs and youth projects and phases.
Can I ask you a question? So if it turns out, and I'm only going on hypotheticals here, but I'd love to get an answer from you. If it turns out that there's been a hell of a lot of financial doping from the likes of Chelsea, from the likes of City over the past 10 to 15 years, and it's proven, and this is what the accusation is, it's proven that they built these squads that did win the major trophies, that have built a foundation that made them brilliant last year to help win a treble in City's case. Would you not feel cheated as an Arsenal fan, where you've had some really good teams in that time that just weren't good enough to beat them? If they've got there through ill-gotten gains, if they've got there through breaking the rules, would you not feel cheated as a rival, that you maybe had the opportunities of winning taken away from you by a club that cheated?
No. Because when we're selling Van Persie to Man United for 24 million, and when we're selling Adebayor to Man City, Gal Clichy, Cesc Fabregas, Thierry Henry, I could go on and on and on, Vieira, yeah? When we're selling all of them, making out that we're paying a stadium off and we're skin, which was a load of rubbish, 20 million a year that stadium cost, and the Cronkies paid the whole lot off in 2018, yeah, which was 240 mil. So we'd only gone halfway through the payments. Yeah, that is what I'm more angry at. Yeah, the fact that manager lied through his teeth every single day, conning the public, to the point where Gary Neville was on Sky Sports when he first got the job there, saying, oh yeah, but Wenger can't compete. He's doing a great job considering they're paying the stadium off and it's nearly paid. No, it was 20 million a year for 25 years, like a mortgage, mate. Should have been paid in 2031. The Cronkies paid the bill, right? So that's what I'd be more aggrieved at. Not Man City bending the rules here and there, yeah, and breaching the rules. Yeah, not at all. Why don't we actually start acting like a big football club? Because like I said, every time I hear someone at Man City speak, they ain't waffling about phases, dogs, plates, top four, they're like unicorns, processes. They're win. Yeah, every other club in the Premier League should have the same standards. Unfortunately, every other club in the Premier League has gone down the route of manipulating social media fans. Yeah, we're a family. You're not family. None of you are related, mate.
Yeah. So Lee, I'll just jump in for a second. I get that point. I was talking to my brother about this earlier on today. I think it's a case of more than one thing can be true at exactly the same time.
I need to pee, but I am listening. Sorry.
No, I hear you, bruv. So no, it's right, buddy. I look at it from the VAR is a great point. And I've seen you talk about this recently. Like, VAR shouldn't be the only thing we're focusing on. If your team plays badly, if your manager makes poor substitutions, if a player's missing sitters, but you also get a couple of bad VAR decisions in a game, you shouldn't ignore the issues with your club that day, your team that day, your manager, and just focus on VAR. But I don't think you should ignore the poor VAR decisions. I think we're grown up enough and intelligent enough to have a multifaceted conversation. And I think the same is going on here. Man United have been disgustingly run for the past 18 years, and it's been even worse in the last decade. There's no doubt about that whatsoever. It's been absolutely horrendous. That doesn't mean, though, if Chelsea and City have, to a large degree, based on the investigations and charges that they're facing, have cheated and potentially built squads full of stars that they would not have been able to afford, it doesn't mean I won't feel a sense of like I've been cheated. Not just me, but anyone who's had a team, because some of our teams in the last decade have been all right, especially your team last season. If it turns out that City should never have had a squad as good and as strong as it is because it was built upon a foundation of lies, maybe Arteta's team last year would have won the league. And maybe your view of Arteta would be different. Maybe then more money comes in and you go to another level. I certainly think Spurs fans might feel like that under the Poch era. I definitely think Liverpool fans will look at it and think to themselves, we were being very well run. We had a very good team and we're missing out to this brilliant City team. But what if they've got themselves to that position through this? And that's why I do think this investigation has to be done properly and accurately. It needs to be, I think as football fans, we need to understand what's been going on. So I get where you're coming from, and I do think you should challenge those things, because I will.
I'll challenge what you just said about Poch. Feel aggrieved. They went 580 days without signing a player. Yeah, Arteta, we might have won the league last season. Yeah, guess what? If we hadn't signed Jorginho and Kivior, mate, in January, and actually gone and done what was required, we probably would have won it. Yeah, if he didn't play a high line, and against Man United at Old Trafford and get battered, if he actually decided, do you know what? I'm going to stop this playing out from the back malarkey because we're right in the death now. We're in the final straight. And then we're going to draw 3-3 at home to Southampton. 2-2 when we're 2-0 up against Liverpool. 2-2 against West Ham when we're 2-0 up. So it's all well and good blaming Man City, blaming VAR and blaming all these other things. The Newcastle result the other day, 3 weeks ago, whenever it was, with that dubious goal, I listened to the audio on that. And I listened to it 4 or 5 times on the spin. Fair play to them. Because for me, they got it right. And I'll tell you what's the biggest issue with that. Before we move on, the biggest issue with that is there's not enough good technology in the league, because how can you not have a camera angle to see whether that ball was officially out? How can you not have a camera angle to see whether the ball was going forward to Gordon? So from every angle, you can't see whether that ball is going forward. That's not a VAR issue, but it's very easy to dismiss the shot, shot on target and blame it all on VAR. Big up David Dean. Always respect that guy. He absolutely got it spot on. And now all of these people that claim they're Arsenal fans who ain't got a Scooby who he is, the whole reason you support Arsenal Football Club is because of his opinions in the first place by signing Wenger. And George Graham. And all the players that are on this green screen behind me.
We'll come back to VAR. We'll come back to VAR in a second. So your point there about if you'd have done things differently last season, you could have won the league. I get that. And I think there's elements to criticize. But the point remains this, and this is why I think it's such a serious situation with City and Chelsea. And by the way, I think there's going to be more teams that come out. And I've said it, I don't sit there and think it's only these two that have broken rules. And I think they should all be punished and they should all be looked at. I believe in bringing regulators in. And if it's my club, I'll condemn them with as much venom as I've got for anybody else. The thing is this, though. If City weren't as good because they couldn't have afforded to have spent the money to build the squad they did, therefore they wouldn't have won some of those earlier leagues potentially. It wouldn't have generated the income that has gotten to this point. And it's a knock-on effect. And we know this. No, but of course it's if, buts, and maybe. But if someone's cheated, those if, buts, and maybes have to be taken in. Yeah. But we're talking about the accusations and how you would feel if something happened. So, of course, it's a hypothetical, and that's why we're having it.
And that's what my point is. If somebody has cheated, then Arsenal might have won this. We're living in Disneyland here, mate.
No, but we're not living in Disneyland, because if you have that attitude with anything, people can take steroids when in boxing, where you might have beaten them anyway. You can't. There are rules for a reason. And if somebody's has been found guilty, and the reason why I think this is a serious conversation than if, buts, and maybes, is the fact Chelsea are reporting themselves for these things. They're reporting themselves. And I think it's one of those things where you can definitely look at mistakes your club has made. And I think you're right to. I will. I won't suddenly not be angry at the Glazers if it's turned out that other teams have been cheating. But at the same time, I think back to even a decade ago when some of these things started happening. And I go back to the Aguero moment. If they couldn't have signed Aguero, if they couldn't have signed some of those players back then because they were breaking the rules to get them.
The title then, yeah.
No, it's not about giving me the title. It's not about that. I actually can't believe you of all people. I can't believe you of all people think even if someone's cheated, you shouldn't feel aggrieved if your team was in races with them. I don't understand that.
Back even further, the Beckham documentary. Beckham didn't speak to Fergie didn't speak to Beckham for weeks and weeks and weeks because he refused to sign for Fergie's agent.
Right.
Yeah, to sign him up to the club. So is that cheating? Because Fergie would have got his mate to have a kickback out of that, and then he might have got a kickback out of that. Is that cheating?
Is that against the laws of the game? No, it's not the same thing. Is it against the law of the game back then? Was it against the law of the game?
No, and it still ain't now, as far as I'm aware. But
hang on a minute. So how are you comparing something
because
that isn't? No, Lee.
We're talking about Man City's potential fate.
What they're being accused. What they're being accused of, Lee, is against the rules. You can't compare it to an action that is not against the rules.
What are they being accused of, Terry?
You don't know.
No, I want you to tell me what they're being accused of.
In a nutshell, to name some of them, they're essentially being accused of funneling the Sheikh Mansour's money.
The exact.
I'm not going to. I don't know the exact everything word for word, Lee.
About hypotheticals without.
No. Some of what they're being accused of, and the major things they're being accused of, is essentially. There's some of it is offshore payments. For instance, one of them is to Mancini. So the allegation is that a percentage of his salary wasn't paid for by the club; it was paid for via offshore accounts. There's also accusations that they have essentially got sponsors who haven't paid the full amount of the sponsorship money they've agreed to. And what the emails detail is that money will be pumped into those companies via the Sheikh, and then they will then pay it into Manchester City's bank accounts. So that is what they've been accused of. Some of the other charges, for instance, there's 5 charges that are of them not fully cooperating with that of the Premier League when they've requested information, accounts, etc., etc. So these are elements of what they've been charged of. There are others in there as well. Some of them I think are really weird.
What you're saying is they were doing exactly what Fergie was doing then.
No.
Well, yeah, get a player to come to the club. If you sign for my agent, you can come and sign for us, but you have to sign for my agent for you to come to the club.
No,
it's exactly the same thing in a different way.
No, so how is it? How is Fergie asking somebody to sign with his agent the same as a company sponsoring you that has no money, that's being funded by the owner? How is that the same thing?
How do you know they got no money? Because of a leaked email.
But yes,
not
just that reason. That reason, and also some of these companies that sponsor them have no staff, no offices, don't sell any products, don't make any products, don't offer any services.
Now go and check all the post boxes in the Cayman Islands.
What's that got to do with anything?
It's exactly the same.
No, it's not.
Yes, it is. It's exactly the same.
No, it's not. If they're sponsoring a football club, and then there are emails from their official servers that state that those companies aren't actually giving the money to the club, they're breaking the rules.
Go and have a look at the post boxes who own the post boxes in the Cayman Islands. Then go and have a look at the companies who own them, and then go and have a look at them companies that own them. What's that got to do? They're sponsoring other companies.
So who are these? Who are these companies? What Premier League sponsors? Hang on. Let me ask you a question. What Premier League sponsors of other Premier League clubs are there accusations of the owner of that football club pumping the money through? Who are they?
Chelsea and Man City. And why is that? Because everyone.
No. Chelsea have not been accused of doing that.
Done before.
What have they been done before?
Under Abramovich, they got done
for what?
Chelsea got sanctioned before. Yeah,
for Roman Abramovich funding a sponsor.
Terry, the leak that came out that you said that they've grasped themselves up on about Samuel Eto'o and Willian and all of that.
It's nothing to do with sponsorships.
But it's still the same thing, right?
No, it's not. It's a completely different charge.
How is it?
Because one of them is a charge of circumventing money through a sponsor to generate.
This company is going to pay you this and this and this here.
So, Lee. So one of them. No, it's not the same thing. They are very separate charges or investigations because Chelsea ain't been charged. Some of City's charges, are the idea that they were not actually being paid their sponsorship money by the sponsors, it's being paid by the Sheikh, so they could generate the revenue to buy players. Some of Chelsea's allegations are of payments to agents and payments to clubs from offshore accounts that haven't gone through the books. So they're both financial doping, but they are not the same activity.
Cool. Go and check out, like I said, go and check the post boxes in Cayman Islands.
I don't know what you mean by that. Explain that, Lee. That doesn't make any sense.
I see it, but then you talked over me. So if you go and see who owns all these post boxes, all the companies, the biggest companies on the planet, and then go and see what they have in terms of, I'll give you the best example, Nike. Yeah, Nike have a company set up in Belize. Yeah, they pay 1% tax in Belize because it's a 1% tax rate in Belize. Yeah, but the main company that gets every single dollar, every single penny, pound, whatever you want to call it, is set up in the EU somewhere, right? But at the end of the financial year, that company has to give the company who is the owner of Nike, because that's the sister company, they have to give all of that money to the company in Belize to pay 1% tax. So that company that's got all of the money in, yeah, don't have to pay a tax bill. And now that all that money, billions of quid, gets transferred straight to Belize account, yeah, and they pay 1%. Nobody's crying about Nike. You're still wearing the trainers.
But that's got nothing to do with breaking
ethical.
But what's that got to do with breaking Premier League rules?
Because you're saying it's financial doping and it's unethical and it's this and that. Well,
yes,
is that the same? Because it's exactly the same.
That has nothing to do with the Premier League and a competitive sport.
No, but you want to compare running and crossing a line in a 400-meter race, yeah,
right,
as breaching, yeah, but anabolic steroids is breaking the rules.
So where that's different is this. Within business, if we look at it within their world of business,
what is a business, Terry?
Okay, no, I'm talking about the Nike example. They can all go and do that if they want to, because they're not breaking any laws. It's within the law of their business and in the law of the country they operate in to do that.
And not doing anything that is not within the law. Because paying Mancini, allegedly, from this company, it's paying him into his account, whilst he's Man City manager, how do you know? Yeah, how do you know that's breaking the law?
So what's your true? Again, I don't know 100% for a fact. I'm going based on the allegations of what we've read. But what do you, Lee? What do you believe, Lee? Do you think they've broken the rules, or do you think they're being set up here?
They've broken anything. I don't think they've broken anything. Yeah, and let's be real with it. Yeah, they won't get done for anything. Yeah, all they've done is find loopholes in the system. Todd Bowley came to England, never run a football club in his life, comes to England, and inside 6 months of being here, 8-year contracts, found a loophole straight away. You're telling me that the Sheikh at Man City ain't found loopholes left, right, and centre?
Yeah,
come on.
But no one's going to be charged for loopholes. You can't be charged for loopholes that they're not against the law.
Thank you. You've just answered the question.
No, but Chelsea have been. Sorry, City. But City have been charged. They've been charged.
Okay. Cool. You can be charged all you like. Now prove it. Prove they've actually done something wrong. You can be charged, Terry. You could be caught up in a fist fight as you're walking past, but now you could be charged, yeah, for standing there, egging one guy on to punch the other guy up. You could be charged, yeah, for inciting the violence or whatever. Yeah, doesn't mean you're going to jail. No, I totally understand that. Proving it is one thing, but this is what this is like. Again, I know we call it straight facts. Remember, it's not really about facts. It's about opinions. It's an ironic title, but so I deal with facts. You deal with opinions.
Of course, yeah. It's your opinion that City haven't done it. Yeah, I get you. Let's go to some of these super chats.
Off of the factual information that's presented in front of me right now. They've done nothing wrong as it stands right now.
You don't know the facts, Oli, because you didn't even know they were charged.
Well, I didn't know 115 charges, Terry. You don't know any of the charges.
I just named you some of them. I don't know the. No. Do you know what I don't know? What I don't know is all the little codes that are on the Premier League website.
W19.2.
I haven't fucking sat there and memorized that. No, bruv. I'm sorry. I'm not that much of an anorak.
One of their charges, yeah, was the fact that that the sponsor on their sleeve or something was a totally different color or too bright in color or something. Yeah, and it wasn't big enough or small enough or something. They've piled all these charges in.
No, I get that.
Oh my God, we're investigating.
One question that I haven't seen asked of any of the journalists that are close to this is how many clubs get those types? Like, you know, what's important for clarity is I wonder how many clubs per year get those charges come through for their grass being too long. But because it's such a stupid, small story, nobody actually reports on it. So I'd love to know.
How can you prove that the grass was too long? Did you measure every single bit of grass?
I don't know the answer to that. I want to go to the super chat just to have just out of the interest of time, I just want to get through these super chats here. Southgate has been there 7 years with an incredible, talented team playing style football, ain't comparable to Mikel Arteta at
Well, it is,
Arsenal.
because when he got that team, it wasn't an incredibly talented team. Phil Foden was probably, 15? Yeah, Jude Bellingham was 13.
Can't believe you're defending a manager you want sacked.
No,
It's so weird. No, I get you.
Arteta can spend 650 million, yeah, buy any players he wants from any nation, and still ain't won nothing apart from an FA Cup with the team he sold.
I get you. AJ here says, Terry, you have to keep the same energy with Spurs, FFP. Yeah, I mean, look, let's see what happens. Spurs' allegation is very interesting for me. It's from so long ago. I don't really get it. I don't know what they can do now. I don't know the rules around it. But yeah, I mean, if it turns out they've done that and multiple like that, then I'll call them out as well. Of course I will. So frustrating watching Lee. He makes statements and comes to conclusions that make no sense. Talking like talking to a brick wall. No offense. What I'll say, Jason, I'm the one talking to Lee. It's not like talking to a brick wall. It's fun. I enjoy it. It's good.
Yeah, people don't like factual information. They like to live in fantasy land. That's why.
Lee, I love you, but
and joining the bandwagon of Man City getting banned.
Lee, I love you, but you say it's all about winning. Otherwise, you're a loser. But England finishing in the quarterfinals or semis is success.
No, I never said it was success. If you actually rewind all the way to the very beginning of the show, I said I want him sacked.
Lee agrees with me. Lee agrees with everything I've said about Southgate, but he just doesn't understand why I don't feel that way about Arteta. That's essentially it.
Because they both won nothing.
Well, that's not true.
Well, Arteta won an FA Cup.
Arteta's at club level, Arteta's won an FA Cup and Southgate's won nothing. And Southgate had a 29% win ratio as a club manager, and Arteta is at nearly 60%. So in my opinion, someone actually said to me earlier, Terry cooked, he can't factually explain why he thinks Arteta's better. I can. Yeah, one's won a trophy. One's won. Hang on, let me finish. One has won a trophy at club level and has a win percentage more than almost double that of his rival and plays better football. That's why I think Arteta is better.
Yeah, Southgate's also got a 60+ win record as well, mate, for England.
Yeah, but we're talking club level, and we both agree that Arteta should be sacked. Terry Lee, do you think your club
should be sacked? Clip that.
Southgate. Sorry, slip of the tongue. No, we got. Aziz here says, Terry Lee, do you think your clubs are innocent? All the top 6 clubs did the same stuff Chelsea did. We need to investigate the Pogba and Lukaku deals. Bruv, listen,
every single club in the league is up to something. Yeah. So let's not pretend that Arsenal is squeaky clean, mate. Yeah, let's not pretend Man United is squeaky clean. Every single one of our clubs is owned by a billionaire. Where'd they get their money from? Yeah, come on. Yeah, but everyone likes to go down this moral high ground. Oh, I've got standards and morals. No, you ain't. I'm all off an iPhone, mate. Just turn it in.
I am all for a regulator to investigate all of this. Yeah, do it. Predictions on Arteta's future is not a fact, bro. Who are you, Nostradamus? Yeah, like it's not a fact. But the Lee's opinion on Arteta's future and my opinion on Arteta's future are both the same thing. It's an opinion based on facts and based on what we both see. But we
which is why I talked about Southgate, because he's doing exactly what Arteta's doing.
Not in my opinion.
But you don't. Don't like the style of football.
But not in my interpretation of what I'm seeing. That's where it becomes a subjective opinion based on the facts. Because you can read the same stats as me, facts as me, but come to a different conclusion, right?
Facts are facts, Terry. You either win or you lose, and both remain one.
But nothing is a simplistic. That's such a reductionist answer. That's such a reductionist answer.
Why is there trophies and medals in the sport anyway? To see who is the best. You compete against each other to see who's the best at the end of said race.
How far do you take? So if I've got a player like Rashford that's won more trophies than Saka, Rashford's better.
No. That's not what I'm saying. I'm talking about football club, yeah, or athlete, for example. Usain Bolt, yeah, has got the most trophies, the most medals, yeah, gold medals, because he was the best in that competitive sport at that time.
Yes.
Yeah. Marcus Rashford, yeah, may have won. Well, he has won more than Saka. Cool. Don't mean he's a better player. But in terms of successful career, as it stands right now, Rashford's had a better career, hasn't he? But Saka could surpass him. He might not. Who knows? But as it stands right now, if they were to both retire today, Rashford's had a better career based on trophies won. Yeah. Why don't you think Harry Kane could go down as a great as it stands right now? Because
he's got to win trophies.
Thank you. So there we go. So it all comes back to trophies. Case closed.
And I think that Arteta has won an FA Cup, and I think he's progressing towards winning a major trophy. And I don't think Southgate can do it.
Okay.
This here says you need to change the show to the football terrace, to the Waffle House. Joking, love the show. Terry and Lee are real ones. That's what I like about working with Lee, though. What I like about working with Lee is we can both have different opinions. We challenge each other. It's fun. Like, don't take it too seriously, people. Fergie and his son's dodgy dealings and Fergie's famous tapping up players. Is that cheating? Show me evidence that he cheated, and I'll call him a cheat. That's all I'm going to say to you.
Okay, so when his son got sacked from Peterborough and he called all the loan players back to Man United because his son got sacked, what's that then?
Show me how that's against the law of the game, and I'll call it cheating.
So it's all right if it's cheating or bending the rules.
That's not cheating.
Not breaking the rules, yeah.
It's not breaking the rules, is it?
Fantastic. Which is why Man City won't get done.
Again, that's cool. Very simple that we move on from this. What Lee is saying is that Everton and United should both be treated the same, as both broke the rules. I agree with that, but the reason I got confused on that conversation is all I'm seeing is people be supportive of Everton. I'm not really seeing anybody in the media slam them. So I was just trying to ascertain which way round Lee saw it. That was all, my friend. Terry, do you need a hug? Straight facts. I always like a little hug, mate. The Premier League itself wants to avoid the UK independent regulator, worrying considering the concerns around the top six controlling the Premier League executives. Yeah, it's going to be interesting to see what happens with that. Lee has a child's IQ, insufferable arrogance. He doesn't. He wouldn't be.
Keep that pinned. Keep that pinned. Go back. Keep it pinned. Because he spelled insufferable wrong, yeah, after I've got a child's IQ. Get in the bin. Get in the bin. Yeah, I've got a child's IQ and you can't spell the word.
Ah, no. If you ever call out someone's intelligence, you've got to spell things right. There is a difference between disliking FFP and breaking the rules. If you agree to follow the rules and break them, you have to take your medicine. Agreed. City are the only club in the top six voicing their favour of UK's independent regulator to audit the Premier League. What does that tell you about the top six? We will see.
Exactly.
That's a great point. Great point.
The members make up that top six, don't they, Terry? Arsenal, Tottenham, Liverpool, Man United.
I hear you.
Everton
we should not have financial or doping regulations. Sports without rules are not sports. I agree with that. Shower Boy has taken a win instead of number 30. Sorry, have taken a win instead of number 29 at his parents' house to shower with him to create a new song about Win the Dog. Chelsea self-reported City's a whistleblower and Everton submitted their reports. From my perspective, the FA can only act on what their noses get their noses rubbed in. I hear you. FFP was brought in to stop more clubs going out of business like Bolton and Portsmouth. It serves its purpose, even though it has its flaws.
Rubbish. It's to stop people breaking into the top echelon of football, mate.
Yeah. Did Lee see his boy Messi choke holding a player and no card, even a yellow? This is what you call media protected.
Should have been sent off.
Yeah, it should have been. Lee gonna rope a dope. Frustratingly beautiful. I've now come to the conclusion that Lee just argues to make noise, not to make any sense. Always looking for a reason to say "I told you so." Always going to the opposite route from everyone. That's not a lot of people agree with Lee. I'm going to defend Lee there.
I don't go the opposite route to everyone. What I do is I speak my truth and my opinion based on what I'm seeing. Yeah, and the fact that everyone's so salty over VAR, it's not VAR that's the issue. It's the technology that's the issue. Yeah, because when you haven't got the right camera angles, yeah, then sorry, you're always going to flop. Yeah, when people want to talk about Man City, cool. Tell me what they've done wrong. Because unless you've got insider information and you're one of the top lawyers on the case, you don't know nothing. The same as all of us. So how about let's just wait and see instead of guilty. Yeah, then when they don't get found guilty of anything, apart from maybe the grass being too short or long, the away dressing room being a millimetre too big or too short, yeah, and the badge being too small, yeah, oh, but there's corruption, they've paid them. Yeah, Man City are in a lose-lose situation because no matter what happens, they're going to lose. Because if they get found guilty, then, see, that's why nobody could compete with them. And if they don't get found guilty, they paid them off. Yeah, because this is how dense football fans are. Yeah, not all of them, but a lot of them. Make your club better instead of crying about Man City. Yeah, and if our fan bases held our clubs to the same standards, as we do other clubs and other players and other managers, then maybe, just maybe, our clubs will be better.
I hear you there. Lee says, Lee to Terry, it's all if, buts, and maybes. Then says, if Arsenal hadn't played a high line at Old Trafford, if Arsenal hadn't signed Jorginho, define hypocrisy. but that's the thing. That's one argument, not with you per se. I've seen a lot of people recently that say things like, I don't like if, buts, and maybes. Me and that Mike, Love United, Hate Glazers, I basically said to him about Kobe Mainoo, like, I said, like, what if, like, he makes it though, because I don't want to deal in what ifs and everything else. I'm like, but that is the point of football. In some degree, not the point of football. That's wrong. It's an element of football. 18 clubs follow the rules. 3 didn't. It's balance. I hear what you're saying there. Advocates cheating. This is embarrassing and pathetic.
It says the Liverpool fan.
Yeah, look, I want to thank everybody that's tuned in. I have got to run. It's Freya's parents' evening in about 15 minutes, and I've got to get myself there. Lee, always a pleasure to speak to you, my friend. And I'm sure next week or another show we can go through the VAR stuff. I wanted to do more, but
have a cold shower, mate, because you've been
daddy duties. Bruv, look at that. No sweat, no nothing, bruv. Absolutely dry as a bone. Dry as a bone. Listen, take care, people. Look after yourselves. Love you all very much, and we'll see you in a bit.